I've come to a total stranger's house to watch milk curdle. Let me back up. My friend David Hammond is doing a radio piece on raw milk cheeses, which are legal to make, but very illegal to sell. He's invited me to shoot the visual part, and so I find myself in Colleen Graham's kitchen in Villa Park, watching her make camembert.
This is the camembert with the starter added, and it sits for 90 minutes, and we got about 58 minutes still left on it. And then after that, we will add the rennet, and then it'll sit for, well, it's supposed to sit for 60 minutes, but yesterday it only sat for 45, so I'm curious to see the pasteurized versus the unpasteurized milk, if there is a coagulation time difference. Raw milk is just milk that is generally less than 25 hours or 24 hours old, that comes directly from the cow, that is not pasteurized or homogenized. So when I got this milk, as it came to room temperature, you could definitely see the separation of the cream and the lower protein milk. I mean, it was almost half and half. And he had 3 gallons of morning milk and 3 gallons of evening milk. And so we did do equal amounts because the proteins are different in morning milk and evening milk.
Are we doing anything illegal here? Hope.
Actually, I had a guy, it was funny, out at a farm, and I asked if I could buy raw milk. And he looked at me and says, you know, I can't sell it to you in the state of Illinois. But he could sell me the part of the udder that would give me the milk.
What is it? I don't know what that means.
I would buy a share in this cow. And then what I did with my portion of the cow, right, would be my business. Yes.
So you have like utter real estate.
Yeah, well, what they do is
exploit.
Yeah, they calve in the spring, obviously, and then to feed the cows, you know, and sustain them and stuff. They sell off portions of the cow, and then when the cow gets older, you know, people usually buy the steaks and the meat and stuff. I would actually buy the milk and forego my portion of the meat and stuff. So I may do that next spring. We'll see.
And Colleen, what are we doing here?
We're cooling it down to 45 degrees just as fast as possible. So we just have it in a nice bath.
And speed is important because?
It just preserves the flavor of the milk, so it's not continuing to cook any more than it already has. A couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, my husband bought me a make-your-own mozzarella kit for Christmas stocking stuffer thing he found on the internet. I do a lot of bread baking and make my own sourdoughs, and he just thought that this might be something fun. And I made it, and it came with the catalog, and so I ordered all the ingredients to make brie and blue and some other cheeses, and I made some very successfully, and then I made them again, and they were horrible acid cheeses. They were really bad. But I, in my mind, I did them the exact same way. I mean, I bought the same milk from Whole Foods, everything, so I didn't know what I did wrong. So I started going on the internet, and through that found the Vermont Institute of Artisan Cheese through the University of Vermont. They work very well with the farmers. The classes are 1 week a month, and they're full day, so you're putting in 50 hours worth of school in 1 week.
Must be fun having a cheesemaker in house, huh? Yeah. You know, your cheese fresh.
Fun, funny. You want to really spread it around. I took my rennet, I diluted it in water, I spread it over the top, and now I'm going to stir it for a few minutes in a circular motion to make sure it gets distributed evenly. Because after this, it sits undisturbed, so it needs to get mixed thoroughly now. The proteins will raise to the top, and then when we cut them, the wheys will, the proteins will sink to the bottom, and the whey will go to the top, and it will be like a milky kind of yellowy liquid.
Do you do anything with that whey?
Yeah, then we're going to fortify it with some additional milk, bring it up to 220, and that's what we're going to make our ricotta out of. You can have raw milk cheese as long as it's aged 60 days. As far as cheddars and Gouda stuff, that really doesn't even come into play because those need to be aged that long. What you're talking about are your softer cheeses, your cream cheese, your quarks, your bries, your camemberts, that in Europe they're eating at 21 days. And those would be illegal to eat here. One of my professors is from Spain, and they like the 3 textures of their soft bloomy rind cheeses. They like the chalkiness on the outside, the creaminess, and the bloomy. They feel that Americans eat their soft bloomy rind cheeses way too late. they said that if you cut it and it oozes out, it's done. It's past maturation. Yeah.
Pudding.
See, there we got a nice clean break. So now we can cut it. And this is actually a regulation cheese slicer. It's not just a big spatula. Now this cheese we want to retain a lot of moisture because it's a very creamy cheese. If we were doing like a semi-soft, like a Gouda or something like that, we would cut the curds smaller. And if you wanted a hard, you would, what you call rice them. You just, really, really tiny to the size of like rice pellets. And the smaller you cut the curd, the more moisture is expelled out of it and the harder the cheese will be. And this is being held at 90 degrees this whole time.
What's the weirdest milk you ever had cheese made from?
I've just had your regular, your goat, your sheep, your...
You haven't had like polar bear? Or...
No, I haven't. See, if I just even let it sit at all, you can just visibly just see it just sink. See?
And then once the cheese is in the molds, what do you do?
We let it sit for an hour and then we'll flip it over. And then we do that 5 more times, once an hour for 5 hours.
And when you do that, you're expressing the whey?
Yeah, they're just going to kind of press on themselves and the whey will expel from them.
Okay.
Don't want to waste any of the whey.
So to your neighbors, are you the crazy cheese lady?
I don't really talk to my neighbors a lot.
Okay. To your friends, or are they excited?
Oh yeah,
that
my
you'll show
friends,
up
I am
with
the crazy cheese lady, yes.
You're the person who can be relied upon to bring the good cheese to the party.
Yeah, the cheese and the bread. Yeah, I'm the bread lady or the cheese lady.
And they're intimidated by it, and they don't want to bring cheese because you'll scoff at their cheese.
Yeah, I do get a lot of phone calls. I'm bringing cheese to a party. What do you recommend? So, yeah. We actually, Giles and I were talking about that. Yeah, we don't get invited to a lot of people's houses for dinner because we cook well.
Oh, and people are afraid that
Yeah.
you can't have them over though.
So that's why we started hanging out with Giles and his group, because they're all a bunch of chefs, so everybody's competing. So there's usually way too much food, so. So you can see the nice ridges in the, see how it looks more compact already? It's not that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So this is the one we made yesterday. You can feel it. See how nice and firm it is.
So that's how cheese begins. Several weeks later, we'll taste raw milk and pasteurized cheeses side by side. To find out how that went, listen for David's radio piece, coming soon.